Okay, so I was discussed something about white box testing. So here we'll try to understand what is the statement, branch, or path coverage by taking a very simple example. Probably if you understand the basic coding, right? Very basic coding. Let's say if it has some if condition. You understand that programming
Yeah.
for this one algorithm, right? Then we can easily understand the coverage, basic coverage. So it has typical coverage like this. It has like statement coverage, branch or decision making coverage, and it has something like path coverage. Okay, you are able to see the screen, right? And have one PDF.
Yeah.
Are you able to see the screen, right?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So in the first case, we'll take statement coverage where to make sure the test case executed in such a way that every statement of the code is executed at least once. So goal of this is very important. The goal here in the statement coverage is at least once. At least once it has to execute. So in such a way that you need to bring your test case by looking at the code, not at the basic functionality, because the black box works in a different way, wherein there is no code in front of you. There is only the requirements, probably the UI you have in front of you, and you start testing the things. Okay, but here what happens, there is no UI for you. You have a huge list of code, and to analyze the code and start coming up with different coverage to make sure that we hit all lines of a code. Okay, so to understand better for the statement coverage, what we'll do is I'll take a simple example. It says something like this. It has a pseudo code. It is read p, read q. Okay, if p plus q is greater than 100.
Yeah.
So you should give the values for p and q to make sure that if it is greater than 100, what it will do. See, the condition here is you want to execute or to go to this line. What is your condition? What is the p and q value should be in general?
It should be
it should be more than
100.
Yeah. So then what we'll do, we'll try something like p is equal to 100 and q is equal to 50, and now 50 is greater than 100. Fine. Then it prints print large, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. Then if condition is done. So the only one if condition is there.
Okay.
But we have another statement or another condition which says if p is greater than 50. Okay, you remember the what value I supplied here is like 100 and this is for 50 and 100 plus 50 is 150. 150 is greater than 100, then it will print the value. But here if p is greater than 50, when I say p, this is 100, right? So 100 is greater than 50, then print p is large.
Yeah.
Correct, right? So you don't want to execute this kind of line. Let's say I'll make it reverse now. We'll say p 40 and this is something like again 100. Q is 100. Now it will become 140. 140 is greater than 100. It works fine, cool. But if it comes back here, 40 is greater than 50. That's what it's trying to check the condition. It's not right. 40 is not greater than 50. Yeah. So it won't go to this line. It won't go to this line at all.
Yeah.
Correct, right? So this is basic, the understanding of the program for a given condition. Even suppose you want to make a fail test case for this, you can do that. You can just say 10 and 10. Let's say p is equal to 10 and q is equal to 10. 10 plus 10 is 20. 20 is greater than 100? No, it's not. It won't do anything. So it means that your test case is just now passing 10, 10. You will never hit this any lines of a code. Correct, right? If you give the data as 10, 10, it will never hit this code because p again should be greater than 50 and p plus q always should be greater than 100. So you want to execute each and every line of a code. It depends upon the test data what you supply for that condition. Okay. So further we'll try to understand through a flow diagram. Okay. The same thing is represented in a different way. So read p, read q. I'll call this as 1a. Something like a node, something like a node 1a, and I'll say p plus q greater than, and if it is yes, I'll call this as 2c and print large, and come back here. It ends the end if. And again, if you take a negative case, that's what I explained, right? So negative case, and I'll call this as A, A, and this call as a B, and this ends over here. And I have another condition, that is B is greater than 50. If it is yes, then 4G and 5H. This is just a flow to make sure that the naming convention. We call this as, now tell me if it is, you want to execute all the, the lines of a code over here. So what is the path you take? To understand the path, right, we'll try to put in a flow diagram and give the meaningful names, something like this.
Yeah.
A, B, C. So the first something like 1A, 2C, if it is yes,
3D.
3D, and E is the end.
Yeah.
3D is E is the end point. And I'll come back here. My assumption is P is greater than 50. So what I'll do, if it is greater than 50, you should go to 4G and 5H, and this is end. Correct, right?
Yeah.
And also there are cases something like it will come back the right side, come back here, and there is something like P is P is not greater than 50. Then you should come back 4F and end of the statement. You cannot go to 4G.
Yeah.
Okay, so for this, what we call this as something like a statement coverage, a branch coverage, or a path coverage. So we'll come back to that branch and path. So there's a whole, the use case is same. The code is same basically. For a given code, we are traversing with the different nodes or different edges to make sure that it covers all the lines of a code. The term we call at a different stage is something like statement coverage, a branch, and a path coverage. Okay. So statement coverage at least one that has to exist. So once again I'll come back here. To calculate the statement coverage, find out the shortest number of paths. So in such a way that it is going to traverse and at least one case it has to execute. So the same way you can see 1A, 2C, 3D, E, 4G, and 5H. The same thing, that's what I just explained. 1A, 2C, 3D, and E is the endpoint, and 4G and 5H. To make sure one positive case is executing, correct? We're not bothered about the negative case as of now.
Yeah.
The statement coverage just covers the basic path, and we call this basically touch all the nodes, the 1 and the 2, the second, third, and the fourth, and the fifth, all the conditions basically. So this is a statement coverage. So in this statement coverage is only one, because they have only the one way I can reach this endpoint. There is no other way I can reach here. Correct, right? Suppose you reach 1A, 2C, and 3D here, and if you give P is, let's say P is not greater than 50, then immediately it will say 4 here. But what I am expecting is, if I give the value that is greater than 50, then if you move to 4G, so that I can execute this path, and 5H, and this is the way it ends the flow. Okay, there's at least one positive case it has to execute the statement coverage. Okay. So branch coverage is something like, to calculate the branch coverage, you need to figure out like minimum number of paths which will ensure the coverage of all edges. Minimum number of paths. So what could be the minimum or maximum number of paths? When I say edges, nothing but this one. The case, this one A, again B, C, D, E, and F, H. So what is the minimum case you can execute the branch coverage? So here edges is something but a negative case. In simple, what I call is always negative case. So you want to execute the edge, right? So it has to coverage B and F. Correct, right? You want to cover B and F, what we will do? We will give the wrong value for a P and Q. So if I say 10, 10, I mean 10 plus 10, should be 100 actually here. By mistake it's 10. Okay, not a problem. So we'll take 1 and 2. So 1 plus 2 is 3. 3 is not greater than 10. And we'll come back here. We also make sure that the branch coverage is working when there is a negative case. Correct? In the same way we came back here, and the P value is 1. 1 is not greater than 50, and it will come back to F. To make sure that the negative cases work. So earlier statement coverage, we just saw the positive case, the flow, when you supply the positive values, then how it is going to execute, and this is the branch coverage. So in our case, there are two edges, so it will be like B and F.
Yeah.
No, path coverage, depending upon this, you can come with a lot of path coverage for this. Okay, let's say, for example, I want to go from location A to location B. Okay. To reach that location B, I have around, let's say, 4 different shortcuts or long cut paths. This always happens, right? Suppose you're traveling in a car and you want to reach from location A to B, and but there are a lot of ways to reach the destination. There are a lot of paths, basically, or a lot of routes to reach that location. Correct, right? In general. So, hello.
Yeah, I'm speaking.
No, I heard some other voice.
Okay.
Okay. So what is trying to say, like travel from location A to B, and you can figure out a lot of different paths for a given case, right? So in the same way, we have a pseudo code over here, and the flowchart is also there. And if I want to cover all the paths, then what is the flow? I'll try to solve this like something 1A, 2C, and 3D is 1, and another case would be 1A and 2B, correct? Second path, and the third path would be, let's say we'll make it P is less than 9, it will come back to EF, and suppose if P is greater than 50, then it will come back to EG and 5G. So path curve is something like mixture of your both positive and negative cases. It's very simple. In a very simple way, I can put it something like this. To make sure it has to cover all the paths. I don't know what you're trying to do with this value. It is left to you. You enter the P value, Q value, and make sure that you touch all the paths.
Okay.
All the paths. So by this, what happens is, if you know for a given flow or given piece of code, if you're coming up with the statement coverage, something like a positive case, you just make sure it works.
Okay.
That's it. And there is a branch case to make sure the negative cases works. Path coverage, something like a mixture. It's trying to execute each and every given path, all the paths, to reach the destination. That's maybe the mixture of both the positive and negative cases. So into paths all through the nodes. That's nothing but a path coverage.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I'll try to solve this problem. So 1A, 2B, EF, E and E is saying 4F, right? So 1A, 2C, or 2E, I will reach directly.
1A,
If there is
2B or BE.
Should be.
It should be.
Yeah, 2B and E.
Yeah.
Say 1A, 2B, E and 4F. Again 1A, 2B, E, 4G. It's possible, right? You got it right. 1A, 2B, EF, and again 1A, 2B, E is the endpoint, again 4G.
Okay.
Okay? Another case is 1A, 2C, DE, and there is also case something like 4F, correct? Because your P value could be less. Again, another case 1A, 2C, 3D, E. In this time it can be 4G, 5H and endpoint. You got it?
Yeah.
So by this you are trying to cover each and every path for a given condition. It's very simple.
Yeah. Got it.
Now let's take the reverse case. There is no code in front of you, and there is something like let me put it in a different way. So let's go back to our basics once again, where we are trying to execute the functional test cases. Okay, a black box. I'll call this the black box. Okay, so here it says read A. Is a text box. Imagine this is a text box, and it says read B. Okay, and you enter some value. Based on that, it's going to change the things. It should be P. So if there are two text box, you enter the value, and probably you will hit the submit button. It will give some output. think that this is a UI for you. So if it is a UI, you will come up with the use cases to solve the problem, right? The way we test in a UI, we should think in such a way that it has to, because there is no code in front of you, but basically we try to enter a lot of negative values, a lot of valid values to make sure that P plus Q is always greater than 100. If less, then what happens? So all kind of cases you're going to write it. Now imagine, suppose while developing a test case, you missed out one path. For example, the path is something like this. You missed out the test case. You wrote only 3 test cases. You didn't come up with the 4th test case, that is 1A, 2C, 3D, E, and 4F. You just totally missed out this. Now, in this case, what happens if you try to execute, or if no, the UAT or somewhere finds a bug, then it will be a really problem, right?
Okay.
So we couldn't cover this because we didn't think in that way, and we totally missed it. But if you come back to the white box kind of a testing, it's totally code related. This is very simple code. Probably if you take the application wise, right, very complicated codes will be there. So it will take a lot of time to analyze the things. And we have a lot of tools also. Some tools, EMMA code coverage tools are there to solve a lot of these problems. It will say which class you are using. Let you understand the basic OOPS concept, right? Class and the package and what kind of methods it's looking for, and in each method there are a lot of a lot of lines of code, and the way you execute the things in front end, right? It's going to hit the code in the back end or not. So there are a lot of ways to do that. But as a basic, just if you understand for a given piece of code, if you are able to figure out what is the statement coverage, branch or decision coverage or path coverage, is more than enough. If you want any kind of exercise, I can give a lot of exercise for you. So here, by simple, I can change some of the code over here. So probably I'll ask you to, I'll give the piece of code, and I'll ask you to come up with write a simple statement coverage. Give the path, just basically a path 1A, 2B, BF, into create the flow diagram and come up with branch coverage and the path coverage. It's very simple. Okay?
Yeah.
Is it clear? Have any confusion somewhere in a statement coverage or a branch or a path coverage?
No, that's fine. This is very good. This is simple, so I easily understand. So it will be a confusion in, I think, the critical one, not here.
Okay. Fine. Okay. Probably if I can use a couple of things, as exercise, you can come up with these things and make understand how it.
Yeah, I can make some.
I mean the coverage basically, the statement.
Yeah, basically I can make some like flowchart, some program, a small program, or then I can at least a statement coverage, branch decision, and path coverage. At least I can define the path, and then we'll see. Yeah, sure, tomorrow, because I didn't get the time because it was night already, and again in morning, so most of the time.
Yeah, not the problem. It all depends upon how you take and how you somewhere you feel that I need more exercise from you. It's always possible for me. So it all depends how you take it. I have a lot of exercise. I can assign a lot of things for you to make sure that it's
yeah, sure. Please assign me only just for today. Sorry, but the next time for sure.
Yeah, we'll plan. If you have anything, you can always ask me a question. So it's not a problem.
Okay.
So if you feel somewhere you need some more exercise, we can do that. I have a lot of things to do. So we'll do.
Okay. And
so this is what yeah.
Yeah. All these tests will these covered in database testing, also used in database testing. Because Gujarat, actually what happened, like here when I came, I already I got married, then I came here, and it's almost like more than 1 year. My husband is in IT, he's working in Dell actually. He came on site here. So after my marriage, I also came with him. So I have a completely different profile in India. I worked closely with developer, not in technical, basically like a product manager, I know all these stuff, but I didn't work with in hand basically. So I came here. So I asked from a different consultant and all whether because I come here for dependent, right? So I can't work here. So I just asked from every consultant, and they okay, I need to apply my H1 visa to work. I gave my profile. They said that they prefer because here people do MBAs and all the stuff. So they prefer management thing from here only. So in US either healthcare or IT. Both are jobs are here. So they told me you need right now it's ETL and testing in demand. So you should we need a resume in ETL and testing. Then only we can file your visa. And there are 100 people. Everybody is doing the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically right now my H1 is in process, and I need to show a project. Like my consultant will show a project to them. Then only I can got the final approval. Basically, I need to go through interview, and they it was basically in my resume. It's typically mentioned ETL testing, right? So that's why I talked with Daniel, Anthony, and Sarup and everybody. I'm looking for because I need a guidance. I don't know anything, but it's like suddenly come with me, come on me. So I just want it should cover like the database ETL testing, something like that also related to that also. Okay. So this is my concern before we go.
Okay, no problem. See, as a part of, if you see the course content, yes, we have, we can talk about the database testing also.
Yeah, because I already...
It's a very basic level, very basic level. But again, if you say ETL, right, so there is a lot of tools available, Cognos. The ETL is again, ETL testing is
ETL testing basically Informatica. Yeah, basically it was Informatica.
Correct, exactly. Cognos, Informatica. Yeah, but here we're not going to train because I never worked on. I worked on ETL, but not on the Informatica tools, but it's totally different stuff. But as per the course content, ETL testing up to database testing, I can easily guide you. It's already there. So I can do
that. Okay.
So,
I just wanted
but still, if you need any kind of ETL, then I can help you out because I worked on ETL projects longer. So I worked on almost a year. So probably I can guide you how really they do ETL testing.
Yeah,
just take to
because
because if you say show me the Informatica, Cognos, how they use, that's a tool basically. So I'm not expert in that tool. I now worked on this tool. But based on your resume and the pressure level, probably we can easily, clear the ETL testing. It's not so great.
Yeah.
We can easily do that.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay. So that was about white box testing. If you get the basic understanding, that's fine for me. So because we not going to become a white box tester, because white box test in the market, they expect at least 5 to 6 years of experience in a Java programming and all. But as a fresher, if they, by any chance if they ask an interview, you should be able to tell what is white box, and you should be tell at least for a given flow what is the path and what is the coverage basically. That's more than enough.
Basically, white box. This white box testing we need to go with each and every code, whatever the codes are there, all this. Got it. I got the point. Okay.
Okay. So it's all about white box, and next we'll see. I think I was discussing something about how to develop a test case. Even I shared the document probably.
Yeah, I got it.
And I don't know whether you're able to download it or not.
No, I don't download it. I go through with them. I got it. And I definitely, you told me only two. Maybe I can do more than on Orange HRMS. Maybe I can do more test cases. Come with more test cases. Tomorrow we'll discuss that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
You can probably write it and share it somewhere, or you can share your screen and show the test case. We'll see
Yeah.
how you written.
Yes.
If there is
Yes.
something need to be corrected, try to correct that.
Okay. Sure. Mm-hmm.
And next we'll talk about another very important topic. It's something like testing technique.
Technique. Mm-hmm.
Yes, testing techniques. So we have different kinds of testing techniques. It's called as equivalence partitioning, or generally they call BVA, boundary value analysis,
Okay.
or equivalence partitioning. So for a given case, if you know the technique, you can easily derive the test case. That's the whole idea. So what I am trying to communicate in the next half an hour, probably we'll try to see the different techniques, so that it will be very easy to derive the test cases. So till now what we covered is we covered types of testing, and we know what is the template, test case template. You have the requirement, and you know how to write a test case also. Probably once you do for a login and employee, right, you will come to know how to write a test cases. But while writing, right, we didn't come up with any technique, right? So directly we just started writing based on the understanding of the FRD or SRS document. But sometimes these techniques also really important. I told that in the first session itself. So the first number one principle is exhaustive testing is not possible. That's correct. Is one of the principle. So for that reason, you need to come up with a good cases using some techniques, so that you can easily execute the stuff. Okay. So first we'll see equivalence partitioning, or the boundary value analysis. So that's what I was talking about. So we learned already this is not possible, and always there should be some technique to identify the test cases and to find a defect. Ultimately, you're able to. Your aim is to find a defect, right, and to make sure the product works properly based on the design. Okay. So this is also kind of a black box testing. Till now what we discovered is purely a white box. Okay. So these are all equivalence partitioning. What I'm talking about, the next techniques, right? So it's all about a black box testing. Okay. Let's take some example. There is a ticket booking system, and you can select from come and to date and select the flight, whatever. But if you look at this, there is a text box. It says number of tickets. How many tickets you want to book, basically. That's what it's saying. The number of tickets, yeah. And it says the business case here is it can take up to 10. Up to 10. Only 10 tickets you can book at a time, not more than 10. That's what the business case is there. But if I ask you to write a test case for this, in general, what are the test cases you can write for this? For ticket? Yes, for ticket, for number of tickets. Only for the number of tickets. Forget about this. Only for number of tickets. Okay. Number of tickets, basically it should be it should be there will be a start button like in Denver. It's saying fly into Denver. It should be a drop down button should be there where the number of tickets were there. Right now it's not there. Right? Or it's saying insert. Okay. No. Test cases. Yes. So what you said is probably that's the functional wise. No, that's functional wise. The use case wise. But this is a text box. You can enter the value. There is no drop down. No drop down. Yeah. You can enter the value. Suppose if you say 5, we can. No drop down. Yes. No drop down. Yeah. If we say 5, if we say 10 tickets, then when we go to insert order, click on insert order, it should come the ticket. The ticket will show either five tickets are booked or something. Some message will come. So okay. Yeah, and test cases for tickets. And if we put 0,
then it should say, please enter the number of tickets, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Yeah.
Great. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Is
And
there anything? Okay.
anything tickets should be 0, then greater than, if we select so many, like some 100 tickets, there should be something, right? Please, are you sure something, this
Okay.
message should come, like, are you sure you want to book
Yes.
something
Right.
like that? I think so. That's it. Otherwise, I need to.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Whatever you said is 100% correct.
Mm-hmm.
So you said 0. That's what I was expecting. Whether you say 0
Mm-hmm.
and more than 10. I'm interested in those cases.
Okay.
1 to 10. Okay. So whatever you said is fine. It's perfect. But in the next couple of minutes, I'll show one thing. But if you probably write it in a paper and see, the deriving the test case within a fraction of a second you can derive.
Okay.
Just within a minute you can easily derive.
Okay.
That's called as a technique. That's called as a
That's what we are learning.
boundary value analysis or yeah, that's what. The technique is the technique name itself I'm telling. I'm talking about in terms of techniques. That's the reason we have already a technique, equivalence partitioning and boundary value analysis. Okay. So now watch this for the next 2 minutes. Probably whatever the use case you said, yes, it's good. Okay. Now I'll put a case like this, and you know the valid case. What I said is 1 to 10, correct, right?
1 to 10.
Then you should put something like 1 to 10. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. Now we'll see like what's going to what are test case we can derive from this. Means if you say only 10 tickets may be ordered at one time, means you are trying to execute more than 10.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
More than 10? It can be anything. I don't know what value we pick. I can't say I can't test for 11, 12, 13, 14. I can't go till 19.
Yeah.
Correct, right? Then you will end up with 100 cases. So you can't do this. I told example it's not possible. So the way is you check the invalid cases like more than 10 was what you said, and make sure whether it's working or not. Suppose trying to book a ticket, then it's a problem. As you said, you should throw a message somewhere saying that only 10 tickets may be ordered at this moment or at this time. Okay. Now we'll take another case wherein of course the invalid it can go up to more than 2, 3, 4 digits. Anyway, we're not bothered about. What could be the another invalid case? So this is the right hand side and the left hand side. When you come back to the left, the case, right? What could be the invalid case? As you said, it's 0. You also try with 0. Also try with more than 10. These two are invalid cases.
Okay.
Invalid cases. So now by looking at this, you tell me what is the value in invalid test cases. Immediately you can write a test case. If value is greater than less than 0, you should not be able to book a ticket. If there is more than 10, immediately show a message. But of course, valid is if you try to book a ticket between 1 to 10 somewhere, it should book a ticket. You should execute these cases. But what we call this, what the technique we call, that is important for us. Okay, so we'll try to. Okay, so what we do here is we try to partition the things. Okay, I'll call this a partition 1, partition 2, partition 3, and partition 4. Okay, it's something like a group actually. It's something like a group. So in the partition 1, only one invalid case can happen. Correct, right? Or probably when I say less than 0, you can try with the negative number also, like -1 or something like that. You can try it out. Or the another partition 2, that is valid cases can happen only 1 to 10. Invalid is this, and again, of course, another invalid group basically. So these are the only test cases we can come up with the for this use case with the number of tickets. Okay, and here what we do is we are going to pick each value from the partition. If you partition very well, right, we can pick each value from a partition and you can execute the test cases. Now I'll ask you what is the valid for a partition 2. Okay, So what kind of value you can pick and test it?
Partition 2, it should be like a 10.
You can take any value,
Any
right?
value.
Yeah,
Into
partition 2. Yeah, any value. It can be in between 1 and 2. Now we have asked for invalid for this partition 1. What are the values you can pick? I told
Less than
no, it's less than 1.
zero.
It can be 0 or minus 1 is also negative values. So see, you actually when I asked previously, you said 0, you said one valid case, and you said invalid case, but we never thought about negative values, right? Correct?
Yeah.
Because the text box, if you try to enter a -1, probably should throw a message, negative values are not allowed. The values range should be between 1 to 100, something like that. Okay. So, but when you know when you divide the partition very well for a given case, you can easily derive the test case.
Yeah,
that's what
I
I'm
got
trying
it.
to say. Okay.
I get it.
So now here actually it's the mixture actually. So from this case I can derive a boundary value cases. So now tell me what could be the boundary value test cases. This is something like equivalence partitioning. So I'm making one partition, partition 2, 3, 4. You pick the number of cases and you start executing. Now next technique we are trying to do is something like boundary value analysis. So for a given case, right, 1 to 10, what is the boundary value?
It should be like 1 to 10.
It's basically edges, something like edges.
Edges.
No, edges. I'm talking about the edges. The boundary is something like edges. See, we're playing a cricket, right? So when you cross a boundary, only two things can happen. Either it's 4 or a 6, right?
Yeah.
Correct. And in a cricket. So if you go for a single or a double run, triple runs, whatever, it happens within the boundary. So now the value is in front of you. Like I have a partition 1, 2, 3, and 4.
It should be 1, 5.
What is the boundary value?
Is it a 1, 5?
Is not a boundary. 5 is within a boundary.
Okay. The boundary value is 10.
Okay, we'll see. It's basically boundaries between the partitions.
Okay. So between the partition, first is
Yes.
Okay.
It's just a boundary.
Yeah,
0,
that's
1,
what.
10,
10,
11,
11 to 19, 100. Okay, got it.
Yeah. Correct. In any number. So valid, we're not going to care about this because already we covered in the equivalence partition. You divide the parts and you already pick the value and test it. But the boundaries, the whole idea is you execute test case for a -1 and it's a working fine, but you didn't try with 0. You missed the test case. Means that is a boundary case, right? It's a boundary case. So we should, in this case, we should be very careful. Better put it in a document. What is the valid, what is the invalid? Put to the partition. Come up with the partition first, and derive for each partition what is my value. Come up with the test cases, and then go with the boundary value analysis and come up with the test case. So in this case, I can derive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 test case. I can probably write more than 10 test cases for a given case.
Yeah.
Correct, right? Okay. So this is just a very simple boundary value analysis and equivalence partition. This is very, very important because most of the time we see it fails at the edges.
Okay.
It fails. When I say edges nothing but a boundary case. It fails. So there are a lot of use cases we need to test it. So another example could be, let's say there is a pagination. Okay. You search for something and you got the record and it says we found 100 records and each page there's a 10 records displaying. Probably you will get 10 pages like 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. So now here also I can try it out. Of course, you can't enter the values for this. Basically, this is applicable wherein you interact with the given element, given the cases. For a button, you can't come up with a boundary value cases. So if you take the same example, for a read A, B, C, there was some text box here, right? For a submit is a button, right? You can't write a boundary or equivalence case for this, correct, right? It's an action. So button is an action. You can't come up with the use case for this. So this will be applicable where there is a text boxes, probably any other interface where the user will give some inputs and it's going to take some action on this. There we need to apply these kind of techniques. You cannot apply for this submit button.
Okay.
You can't do this. Okay.
Okay.
That's what I do. Each technique is totally different. It depends upon the use case. If you know the technique, easily you can write a test case for this.
Okay.
Okay. If you want, I can give you a lot of examples for this range also. I can take any live example and probably if it is there somewhere in Orange HRM, right? And
it should be there.
We can see that. I think there are there. Might be there. Yes, suppose there is an employee number is there. Employee number, I don't think so.
No, employee number.
Yes, we can come up with something. Yes, looks like, yes, there is something there in the so that's what I told. Like once you know the technique very well, right? Probably another 2 days or next 1 day, if you start writing the test cases, you will apply the thought. You will apply the technique and then you are writing a test case. That's very good actually. Okay.
Got it.
If you know the technique, you can easily write the test case.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
This is boundary value analysis and equivalence partitioning, and both are tightly coupled. Once you derive the equivalence partitioning, within that each partition, I can come up with a boundary value analysis. Very simple. Okay. And we'll try to cover something like decision table testing. So another way, let me put something like this. It's something like decision table testing. Okay. So decision table is something like we try to come up with some set of rules like for a given use case. So in this case, I'll just take a very simple one. There is two drop down on button is there, and can you observe the flight button?
Yeah, but
disabled,
once we
correct?
select it, then it will come
button
unable.
Yes. Yes. But once you select from, it won't enable. But when you select both, that is from and to, then this is enabled. Now, when I ask you to come up with the test cases, then probably what we do is, once I land to this page, by default, without selecting any value, buttons is disabled. Button is a single button. So button is disabled. Flight button is disabled. When I select a drop down, that is from, or it can be to also. I can skip this, I can select to, flight to, then button is still disabled. But okay? We need. But when I select from and to, then when I select both from and to, it should be enabled. So by looking at this, right, it's very complex, not complex, basically the way you write a test case is no. It's more of a steps, detailed steps you need to follow on that, and each time you can't say this is disabled, this is enabled, both are enabled, both are disabled, all the combinations. So better what we do is, whenever there is a condition, we put in a simple table, a simple kind of a Excel table or somewhere you can derive this, and for a given condition, I can make a rule. Now rule 1, 2, 3. Now I can make false. So you understand this? When I say false, I mean false means don't select any value. There's a
got it.
And what is the outcome? Outcome is button is disabled.
Button is disabled. Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. Disabled. Then we say true. The button will be.
When you say, I mean, we will call that as a false. False. We'll call that
one is true, one is false,
exactly.
and
so
true.
This is something like addition. You do true, and if it is false,
the next is false.
Yes, exactly.
Got it.
Now it's very This looks good, right? Now this looks good. See, now see the beauty of this technique actually. So once you know the techniques, right, the decision making techniques or whatever, it's very easy to derive. It's very easy. probably will even the interview questions given the same thing.
Yeah,
I'll ask most of the people.
items are done.
They won't say
Yeah,
this. They'll say, what is it?
I think so. We study this thing in something like in technical also BTech and all these false cases and true cases. Yeah,
Oh,
I got it. Yeah.
that's good. Yeah, if the background is there, then it's very easy. But most of the people don't have that kind of a background, right? So they will struggle. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I got it.
Good.
Yeah.
If it is done, I'm fine.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So these are all false cases. These are all true case.
True case. Mm-hmm.
So what are the significance of this doing this? Because it will be more clear, right? And immediately we can write the test case pretty fast if you know this technique. And another, okay, I think it's not required. We'll see. Okay. I think it's fine with me for today because I don't want to get confused more. White box testing and two couple of what is it? Techniques like equivalence partition and partition table. If you want to cover, I can cover statement, use case, and like tomorrow. And I can give a lot of use case on equivalence, addition table. If you want any exercise, I can do that. Yeah, probably it might help you in for your. Yeah, sure. You can give me. Probably I'll shoot a separate shoot a separate mail for that. Let me. I have somewhere PPT and let me pull the exercise and I'll try to send you via email. Okay. Okay. Sure. Okay. So it's fine. Like you're able to clear. I mean, get the details about the equivalence partition decision and as well as the white box testing. Basically, path coverage statement or a branch coverage. Okay. Yeah, I got it. So if you probably if I give a lot of exercise on this, it makes sense to you to getting more in deriving the test cases. Okay. Yeah. Yes, got it. Okay. I'll shoot a mail for that. Maybe tomorrow. Okay. Okay, sure. I will. I will do.